Things had been going downhill for a while, but about a year ago, something changed. Strange stuff started happening. First, it was just people disappearing, rumors on the internet, that sort of thing. But eventually it was on TV, too. There was that alien autopsy video. Then that whistleblower got shot on the courthouse steps. Broad daylight. International relations started to break down. There were riots, first over the usual stuff. Then, when the supply chain broke down, it was food. Eventually, it just seemed like people were rioting for the sake of it. There was so much anger. In some places, it pretty much turned into war in the streets. It was like this madness had just suddenly come over the world. Nobody knows exactly when the dead began to rise. If the government had any idea, they weren't talking. A week ago, there was a noise like the sky caving in, and the stars burned purple and orange. The light was so beautiful I couldn't stay inside anymore. I opened my door and started walking.
The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a world. Warrington sounds good to me. And we're going to bump the city density from suburbia up to cityscape. This just makes the towns kind of more believably sized. I find on suburbia they're really small, and it can kind of affect the challenge. A dense town is much harder to get through. And we'll go to advanced options. We will change wandering hordes to true. I'll do a video just on what wandering hordes is and how it works, but the short version is it makes the game way harder by adding big groups of zombies that kind of spawn independently of what already spawns in the different maps that you go to. And these zombies can actually move around the overworld. They'll be attracted to noise. It means the world's a lot more reactive to what you do, and it's also a lot more unpredictable and dangerous. So, your choice whether to turn it on or not, but I like it. We will finish. And we've already made a character. So here's the character we made. Mellifera Kraus is a punk rock girl. She is starting in the mall. She has a nicotine dependence, which just means she needs nicotine every once in a while. She has the night vision trait, just like the character that we made in the tutorial series. And if you look, I've actually raised her stats a little bit higher than that character. That's thanks to her nicotine dependence and the fact that we're not starting with any combat skills. She also has the light step trait. That allows her to move around much more quietly, which should help in this challenge, as you'll see.
We come to, slumped in a dark corner, in what looks like a shop. How did we get here? The last several days are a blur. We must have come looking for shelter, but we can immediately tell that might not have been a very good idea. This appears to be a sporting goods store, but there's not much on the shelves. In the dark, behind a shelf, there's a shape moving. We're not alone. A human body swaying as it moves. An unstoppable rage is visible in its oily black eyes. It's a zombie, staggering around in the dark. Fortunately, it can't see us. And there's a second one. We're going to throw in this rifle case. It fits like a backpack, and it actually has a pretty good capacity, 12 liters, up to 146 centimeters of length. We'll also wear this baseball helmet. We creep toward the window displays, looking for a weapon. Yeah, there's a weapon. It's a Beretta M9A1, 2 magazines, and some ammo. Smashing that case is going to make a lot of noise, but the windows are made out of laminated glass. The zombies probably won't be able to get through them anytime soon. We've been spotted. We slow down in the doorway, trying to lure the zombies out of the shop. If we come over here and just bang on this window, that should attract their attention. Unfortunately, it backfired a bit. That's okay, we can just walk away. Swimming goggles. There is a 1 in a million chance these will be useful. There are also some adhesive bandages. We'll grab all of those. This bat here is just a foam rubber toy, so we can't use it to fight. Maybe there's something on the other side of the store we can use. We spot a crossbow, but it's the kind you mount on a rifle. We couldn't use it in our hands. But we do have this bear trap. We could try setting that up. It takes us a few seconds, but we get the trap armed and set. Unfortunately, the zombies have found their way over to us. It's getting crowded in here, so we decide to make our move. We cross back over and kick the display case with our combat boots, shattering the glass. We quickly grab the handgun and magazines. We almost leave the loose pile of bullets, but make a last-second decision to go back for them. The Beretta M9 is a bog-standard semi-automatic pistol. It's widely used by the US police and military. 9mm is a really useful caliber. It doesn't perform super well in any one area, but it's well-rounded and you will find a lot of it, so you can use it pretty freely. And as you can see here, the base damage is pretty good. It'll cause a lot of bleeding and take out unarmored targets quickly. We are not a fighter. We've never even held a gun before, and now we're facing what seem like impossible odds. We run to the corner and fumble with the M9 in the dark. We don't have any weapon skills. Is the magazine in properly? Are we supposed to cock it like in the movies? What about the safety? One thing we can try is the practice action tab. If you have a gun, you can dry fire it to get marksmanship to 1. Unfortunately, it's too dark to do it here. We'll have to do this live. We clutch our weapon in 2 small, shaking hands and take aim, like they do in the movies. We pull the trigger. Blood splatters across the display tables and the zombie's body jerks with the impact, but it doesn't go down. It was a good shot, but it's like they say on Twitter, they don't feel pain. We try to steady ourselves for another as the monster advances on us. Another solid hit. Greasy, stinking blood sprays out from a severed artery. It keeps coming, but they can die. That's what everyone said, right? This one's probably done for, so we take aim at the other. We aim tick by tick. The first zombie's bleeding out, and now the second one is too. We're hearing a lot of banging coming from elsewhere in the mall. The horde doesn't know exactly where we are, but the gunfire must be drawing them from all directions. The first zombie bleeds out against the sales counter as we run down an aisle. Immediately, we feel a flash of hope. If they can bleed, they can die. We take aim again. We're trapped with limited ammo, so every shot is precious. We have to take our time and not waste a single bullet. It seems to ignore the shot, but judging by the amount of bleeding, we hit something important. As we skirt around the edge of the room, we see them, rotten faces pressed against the windows, looking for a way in. This is gonna be tricky. There is this back room we could escape through, but we don't want to leave without the weapons on the other side of the shop. A few zombies lie in a tangled pile, tripping over each other in the furniture. We sight down a fresh one and take a shot. Another good hit. We hop over the counter and check the body of the first one we downed. Nothing useful. Oh boy, look at all of that. The morning sun, through a skylight over the promenade, illuminates at least 20 more of the Walking Dead, pressing into each other like the front row at the world's worst concert. The stench is unbearable. We're so distracted by the sight that we almost don't notice one approaching from the other direction. It gets within arm's reach before we can pull the trigger. We dodge to one side, but there's nowhere to run this way. We take a shot on the run as we head back around to the north side of the store. A few more bodies pour in through the entrance, and we hesitate. All our escape routes are cut off as a zombie moves in close. We take 3 desperate shots trying to make a hole. 2 zombies drop, but they keep coming. We press our back to the wall, waiting for the last second, then we make a break for it, pushing past the shooting targets and leaping over the counter. There's a gap on the south side of the room now, and we can just barely squeeze through it. We stop and take aim, hoping like hell that we aren't surrounded over here. We go for a third shot, but we realize the magazine's empty. Despite the terror, we quickly realize what's happening and decide to move so we can figure out how to reload. We've reached 1 point of marksmanship and handguns, which will increase our accuracy, damage, and our ability to handle recoil, among other things. We maneuver around the counter, trying to pick a good spot to stand our ground. The zombie trips and falls as it comes toward us, giving us the perfect chance to take a shot. We leave it bleeding while we head west to thin out the crowd that's still looking for us in the dark. One of them approaches. We level our weapon and tag it right in the leg. It's going to take more than that, though. A second shot leaves it in bad shape. If we can keep away from it, it should be done for. A glance back at the 2 we just left tells us that one of them might need another shot. We weave back around the front of the store. They'll be zeroing in on the sound of our last shot, which means the southeast corner should be safe. We hear one of them hit the ground behind us with a wet thud, and then another. We duck into the corner and stop to catch our breath. I turn safe mode on here so that we can rest without accidentally letting anything get too close. We're nearly recovered when we spot one of them making its way toward us. Somehow they always know where we are. Are they hunting by scent? We squeeze off 2 rounds and duck away, knowing the creature's as good as dead. But as we get behind the counter, she gets a cold hand on our arm and manages to bite us. We wrench ourselves free with a cry of pain. She didn't break the skin, but that hurt. She falls to the ground as we run away and doesn't get back up. One of the undead is in our way. All we can do is take a shot and try to weave through the crowd as the zombies surge after us. We're panting as we reach the back of the store. We can't keep this up much longer. So it's time to change our strategy. We pull the door open and one of the zombies inside rushes out after us, putting its foot right in the bear trap. We bait them into charging, then run back the way we came, burning the last of our energy to lead them around the store to the other zombies. With our exit clear, we dash into the back of the store and shut the doors behind us, panting for air. That fight took 11 minutes, but we're safe, at least for now. The laminated glass should hold if it's made of the same stuff as the storefront. We quickly smash through the display cases, grabbing a few guns and a nice little pile of ammunition. Let's take stock of what we have. The Beretta PX4 Storm is another automatic handgun, like the M9 we've been using. This one's chambered in .40 Smith & Wesson, which is very similar to a 9mm. It does the same base damage, but it has a little bit more armor penetration and accuracy. However, it's louder and has a bit more recoil. I would say that the .40 Smith & Wesson is just barely the superior round, but 9mm ammunition is a lot more common. The CZ-75 is a beloved classic originally produced in Czechoslovakia. The first one of these was manufactured between 1975 and 1980, and they're really hard to find. These B variants were made from '93 onward. Statistically, it's identical to our M9, except that it's slightly smaller, heavier, and more durable. However, this one came with a 20-round magazine, while our M9 only holds 15. We also found 2 M1911s. The M1911 was designed a century ago and was the United States service pistol in 2 world wars. It's a rock-solid piece of engineering designed by history's deadliest Mormon, John Moses Browning. The weapon uses .45 ACP, which is a pretty big bullet. Consequently, it can't be double-stacked, which means the magazine can only hold 7 rounds. Under normal circumstances, that should be more than enough, but we're not under normal circumstances. As you might imagine, .45s do a bit more damage than 9mm and have better range and penetration, but are louder with higher recoil. One good thing about this caliber is that you'll often find it on zombie soldiers. As we sort through our loot, we see that there are 3 different kinds of 9mm ammo. Full metal jacket, jacketed hollow point, and plus P. These bullets will all work in any 9mm firearm, but they have slightly different stats. JHP is jacketed hollow point. These have slightly higher base damage, but no armor penetration. FMJ is full metal jacket, which have slightly lower base damage, but a few points of armor penetration. Plus P is overpressure ammunition. They've packed more powder into the same cartridge to give you a round that hits harder than the other 2, but is louder and with more recoil. Most of the zombies we're up against aren't armored at all, so it's a bit of a waste to use the FMJ rounds on them. However, the difference in this case is just 2 to 4 points of damage or armor penetration, so it's not really something we have to worry about too much. We take some time to reload our magazines, pressing the bullets down into them one by one. With all 3 mags full, we switch our M9 to hollow point. 45 shots, ready to go. We climb over the counter and have a look at what's on display. A hunting knife or a baseball bat or something would be great. No luck. Ooh, there's no exit here. This puts us in an awkward position. We're gonna have to kill these to leave. Well, here's something. There's a compound hunting bow. Let's take a look at this thing. This bow has a base damage of 15 and a critical multiplier of 10. If we score a critical hit with it, it'll multiply the damage we do by the arrow's damage modifier and the critical multiplier. you can get huge criticals with a bow. Most bows have very low base damage, which means that even against lightly armored enemies, they won't meet the minimum threshold to score a critical, which is like 10% of the target's total HP or something. There are also strength requirements for using bows, but the compound hunting bow isn't a medieval stick bow, it's an advanced piece of engineering, so it has both a low strength requirement and high base damage. Because of their low range, poor speed, and a reliance on criticals, bows are kind of bad weapons in a lot of cases, especially when you don't have enough skill to crit with them and you're completely surrounded. But if we ever get out of here, we could put this thing to good use as a stealth combat tool. There are a few different types of arrows here. Generally speaking, carbon fiber and aluminum are superior to wood, and broadheads are usually the strongest kind of arrow. Bodkins are weaker but have more armor piercing, functioning in a similar manner to full metal jackets. There's a quote by Terry Pratchett that comes to mind in these kinds of situations. If you don't know what to do, comb your hair and shine your shoes. We don't have a plan, but we don't need to make one right away. We can go around grabbing everything from the shelves. Once we've taken full inventory, we can figure out what we're going to do. There is a butcher knife here in this pile, which could be usable in a pinch, but it's not really a very good weapon. The back room contains a few piles of ammo. Mostly it's nothing we can use right now, but there is some double-aught shot. Now we do find a shotgun behind the counter, and some shotgun slugs. Shotguns have a couple of different ammunition types. So here we have birdshot, double-aught shot, and slugs. You can find a couple others, but they're much rarer. These are the three that you're going to see most often. In a lot of media, slugs are like these giant bullets that punch through anything. But in reality, they're just kind of a typical rifle round. They hit a little bit harder than like an AR-15 bullet, but they're a lot less accurate and way louder. Their usefulness doesn't come from their sheer power or anything like that. It's actually just due to their versatility. Double-aught shot is known as buckshot. There are 9 or so pellets in one of these shells. In melee range, they all strike as one and they're roughly the same as a slug, but at longer ranges they act as multiple weaker bullets that each roll to hit individually. If they all hit the enemy, they do great damage, but since each one rolls individually, they're 9 times worse against armor. And you often won't hit with every pellet, so the damage can be worse than a slug. So slugs are decent for armored or far away enemies. Double-aught is good at point blank or against softer targets. Both can do tremendous damage compared to our pistol. And then there's birdshot. Birdshot is full of a lot of little tiny pellets, and it's useful for hunting birds or squirrels without completely shredding the carcass. In combat, it has no real practical application, and I usually just wind up deconstructing these for gunpowder. Let's go ahead and haul everything back to the storage room here. Now, we're going to make a few discrete piles while we think about what to do. We'll put the bullets up top here, and here we'll put the bow. I believe there was a crossbow. Do we have any bolts? Yes. So bows use arrows and crossbows use bolts. Bows are difficult to use, but they do have their applications. I think crossbows are pretty much just crap. They're very slow and don't offer a lot of power in exchange. The one thing they have going for them is that crossbows don't use the archery skill, they use the various gun skills. This one uses rifles. So if you're just training and you don't want to waste ammo, I guess that's something. Let's compare these two shotguns, because there are a lot of shotguns in Cataclysm, and they're often pretty similar. It looks like these two aren't terribly different. The 1100 competition holds 1 round less, but it's a bit more accurate. I think in this situation we actually want quantity over quality. We're going to go with the 500 field. But what we can do here is load both of them and have them both ready to go. These shotguns are tube fed, they don't have magazines. Instead, you load the shells into the feeder port here and they stack up lengthwise inside this part. It only takes 1 second to load a new shell in, but you have to do it one at a time, and that's not factoring in the time it takes to retrieve the shell from wherever it's stored. One option would be to shoot through this laminated glass. Some of the bullets will pass through it, but I'm worried they might also break it, so let's not risk it. We grab up some more arrows, this single round shotgun. Most of this other ammo is useless to us. Let's go get the handguns. There are a lot here, so we spend some time making sure every weapon and magazine is loaded. Okay, so we have 2 M19s, the CZ75B, we have our Beretta PX4 Storm, we have 3 shotguns, we have a crossbow, we have a bow that we're probably not skilled enough to get any use out of, and we have a Beretta M9, all spread out in easy reach on the counter. So now we have a plan, and the plan is this. We're gonna fight, and we're gonna win. All of this furniture can be used to make an obstacle course. It won't stop them from getting through, but it will help slow them down as they're not smart enough to know when to go around. So the idea is, we open the door, we take a few steps back, and then we start blasting. As they approach, we're going to be doing circuits around the store, weaving through these obstacles. Anytime our gun runs dry, we'll drop it and grab a different one. We can keep a handgun or 2 on us just in case. And we'll start with one of these shotguns. We spent nearly half an hour sorting out all these weapons, and all this time the dead have been trying to beat down our door. It's obvious nobody's coming, and the longer we wait, the more likely we're going to lose this fight. We take a deep breath and force ourselves to step forward. And then, we open the door. One of the zombies shoves through as soon as it starts to open and collapses onto us, chomping our leg as we struggle to get away. It bites our hand and scratches our chest, but we manage to shove it off and run a few steps back. The bites didn't break the skin, but its nails opened a very minor wound. Fighting back panic, we plant our feet, brace the shotgun against our shoulder, and pull the trigger. The blast nearly rips its rotting body in half, and the recoil is shocking. Our ears ring at the loud sound of this enclosed space, but we don't have time to think about any of it. We take a second shot as another zombie piles in. This one isn't quite as perfect, and the creature stays standing. We briefly consider a retreat, but this isn't the time. We fire again, this time dropping the monster. With 2 more shots, the doorway is clear. We might actually have some time to reload here. Well, we manage 1 shell at least. We level the barrel at the undead as they climb over and fire another shot. Now we should run. As predicted, they clump up behind the bottlenecks we've created, tripping over each other. As another zombie closes into point blank, we fire again, taking its head clean off. Okay, the Mossberg is empty. We drop it, and we wield... Let's look at what takes the least moves to wield. That's going to be an issue at this range. It looks like it's the M1911. We back into the corner, expecting this zombie to drop, but we're forced to waste a bullet on it. It's only a grazing hit, but at least it finishes it off. We line up another couple of shots while we're here. We're hoping the sound will draw the enemies to this corner so that we can run to the east. They nearly have us surrounded, but we have just enough room to take a shot and squeeze by. As long as we can keep our head, we can survive here. It would be so easy to panic, run to one corner, and just fire non-stop, but eventually we'd get dogpiled. We squeeze around the lockers and take a position by the counter, knowing our next move will be to run west toward the entrance. We line up another shot. Don't waste it. Okay. We drop our M1911 and grab the other one off the counter, then make a break for it. Nearly the entire crowd is behind the counter now, feeling blindly for us in the dark. It'd be easy to just run out the door right now, but we can't close it behind us without moving all the bodies out of the way, and we have no idea what's out there. Plus, our arsenal's in here. So we're gonna stick with the plan. Take aim. Pull the trigger. Keep moving. Our heart pounds in our chest. Our lungs burn. We're getting worn out from all of this. We're not a soldier. We're a chain-smoking alt model. If we can't finish these things off before we run out of juice, we're dead. We find a wounded target that's not bleeding. It'd be a good idea to pick that one off. And down it goes. They all start surging toward us. We fire again. And again. And again. This M1911's empty. We reach into our coat and grab our next weapon, the PX-4 Storm. We sweep the barrel across the room, putting rounds in every target we can. It's a war of attrition. Our lungs and their blood. As we clear the counter, we drop our gun and press our hand to the scratch on our torso, trying to stop the bleeding. It's really just an excuse to stand still for a second. We're not bleeding badly, it's really just an excuse to stand still for a second. We pick it back up as the enemies close in. We can't move quite as quickly now, worn out like we are. We get grabbed and bitten again as we squeeze by. That'll leave a bruise on our arm, but at least we're not bleeding. The lockers have been completely smashed down by now. We can't use those as a barricade anymore. We stop to fire at our pursuers. Our PX-4 Storm runs dry, and we start feeling around for a spare magazine, forgetting we didn't have one on us. At the last second, we realize there's a CZ-75B next to our foot. We grab it just as the zombie gets its hands on us. It gnaws on our boot, but we kick it away and stumble toward the front of the shop, aiming behind us as we go. This is the end of the road. We can't keep running. We'll just have to stand our ground with the CZ and hope that we have enough ammunition. The air is filled with the smell of powder and rotting flesh. Atomized blood hangs like a fog in the air. Gore splatters the ceiling. And suddenly, it's over. We can still hear the undead smashing up the rest of the mall. We can see them out on the promenade, but for the moment, the worst danger has passed. We stumble around in an adrenaline stupor, looking for more ammunition. The CZ mags are over by the chair, half buried under the carnage. We stop to catch our breath, but we can only rest for so long. We're not really sure if any of these things are actually dead. So we go around stomping on them for good measure, making sure they're in no shape to get back up regardless of what's animating them. A few stragglers finally find their way in. It's no problem at this point. Our CZ runs out, so let's switch to the shotgun here. Oops, I should have dropped that, not put it away. Then we'll grab the CZ and reload it. And just like that, what's left of the sporting goods store is ours. Is there any more ammunition out here? Yes, there is. Actually, there's another gun here. The SIG P226. A SIG Sauer P226, chambered for 357 SIG. The P226 is a double-action, single-action, short recoil-operated semi-automatic pistol. 357 SIG is a really powerful automatic round. Because of the way guns are designed, you can usually fit a bigger bullet in a revolver than you can in an automatic. SIG decided to try to make a cartridge for automatics that could perform like a 357 Magnum without being quite as long, and they actually came pretty close. These rounds are noticeably more powerful than 9mm or even 45 ACP that we have, and the magazines hold 12 of them at a time. So we'll just grab... oh my gosh, there's 167 of these. The recoil is a little bit higher than our 9mm, but our strength is pretty good, so I think we can manage that. Let's load this thing up. We can be a little bit bolder now. 22 damage. That's lower than we were seeing before because we're shooting at a longer distance, and it's harder to get a good shot. We take another step out into the promenade and keep shooting. The skylight is spoiling our dark vision. We didn't notice that there were several coming up behind us. Let's duck into the hair salon up here. It's been 54 minutes since we came to, and we've killed 39 zombies already. We must be feeling a little overconfident thanks to the 357, but let's take a look at our skills. We have 1 marksmanship, 1 handguns, and we still don't have any actual melee combat skills. We are useless in a fight. We can pick these things off, but if 1 or 2 of them got their hands on us, it'd be all over. We haven't had the opportunity, so let's check out our gear. We've got a baseball helmet, which is only barely armor. We're wearing a dark ring with skull decorations and a pitch black onyx mounted on top of it. A leather corset. This is actually kind of okay torso armor. It's only 7 encumbrance, but the coverage isn't great. Combat boots. These are fine, but they're only on our feet. And our trench coat isn't even leather. This is a fabric trench coat, so it's either some clubwear thing like this, or it's like some ratty old thing covered in band patches. Let's squeeze out this side passage here. We find ourselves in the back rooms that snake through this entire mall. It's probably going to be much less crowded back here since it's employees only. Now, this cop is wearing armor, and you can see we just hit him in a weak spot. This is something you can sort of randomly do. I believe skill and maybe perception or dexterity increase your chances, and this is really important if you're using ranged weapons. And if we look here, we'll see that we're learning a new proficiency. We are 0.1% toward learning the synthetic armor's proficiency. We can raise this by fighting and dissecting armored enemies. If we manage to learn it all the way, we'll be able to hit weak points more often. The other zombie's bleeding badly. We drop our gun and raise our fists, ready to put it down, but it falls before it can get to us. Let's check out what these zombies had on them. This one had a screwdriver, locking pliers, a memory card, some food. He had a thermos. I think these actually work to keep things hot or cold, which could be useful in wintertime. He's got some smokes. That's going to be critical for us. There's a single shotgun shell, cashews, a pocket knife. We'll grab some of this stuff. We look out at the front of the hair salon. There's a big crowd of zombies out there. They've stopped banging on the window. Maybe they've forgotten that we're in here. We've sort of foolishly cut ourselves off from the sporting goods store. We can't get back to it this way. We consider just opening the door and fighting our way through, but the salon doesn't offer the same space to maneuver as the shop, so we probably couldn't repeat our earlier feat. And there are a lot of these. 38 out here, which is as many as we've killed so far. Is there anything we can grab in here before we leave? A candle? A beauty magazine? There's a scarf? A Glamopolitan? These are skill books, so we'll want those. We open a heavy metal door. We can see a lot of the promenade from here, at least where the skylights give us a glimpse. We know all kinds of things could be lurking in the dark. What's worse, we can't see a way out, so it's not even like we could make a run for it. We stop and listen here in the hall. We're already getting familiar with the shuffling, aimless gait of the undead. We can hear something, but is it one or many? Ah, it's many. We creep into... I'm not sure what this is. There are a couple of undead in here we can clear out. There are several. This doesn't seem worth it. We try to leave, but we get bitten on the hand on the way out. Thankfully, once again, it doesn't break the skin. We stop to catch our breath. They can't get through these metal doors, so we don't have to worry about that. We peek out into the promenade again and see several of them waiting for us. Perfect. They've heard the gunfire. We can probably get back to the sporting goods store now, but let's keep exploring this weird liminal space a little longer. It was creepy back here even before everything went to hell. We duck under some HVAC pipes and pass through a door to... a bed? This must be a display piece for a furniture store here. If we had to, we might be able to safely sleep back here. Nothing can get through the laminated glass, but we'd be cornered if anything came the other way. So let's just remember it's here. This doesn't look like anything worth fighting over. We slam the door shut before the zombie can get to us. We find another display. This one with some clothing on a mannequin. None of it fits, but some of it is leather. If we found sewing tools and instructions, we could maybe make it into something useful. But we don't have the skills for that. We'll just grab the bandana. The other door takes us into what looks like a vitamin store. We're feeling very hungry, so we'll stop to eat these malted milk balls. That'll boost our mood a little bit. Okay, there are some melatonin tablets, some protein powder, some calcium tablets, nicotine gum. That'll satisfy our cravings. We're actually just going to have one of those. There are also adhesive bandages, multivitamins, caffeinated gum. Caffeine doesn't do a whole lot right now. Basically anything that isn't a painkiller or a sedative is mostly just a fluff item with drawbacks. The whole system is waiting for someone to overhaul it, but there are some difficult kinks to work out before they can be redone to anybody's satisfaction. We'll grab the food off this guy. There's 2 more down, so we reload. We missed! We actually haven't been missing a lot. If you take the time and really aim and your stats are decent and you're not too far away, you usually hit what you're shooting at, even in the dark like this. Okay, we can't stay here anymore. But it looks like our plan worked. The gunfire's drawn the crowd away while we were here. As long as we don't do anything stupid like stepping out into the light here, we should be fine. We come back out of the hair salon and stomp this corpse here. Grab a lighter, and now we're back in the sporting goods store. We reload, head into the back, and seal ourselves in. We're at least going to want to grab the handguns, the butcher knife, a cash card, arrows. I guess we'll need a bow sling if we want to grab the bow. We will pick up the Mossberg. Oh, and we can grab this pipe. It's actually a decent melee weapon. It has medium blocking ability. And okay, a lot of people think this is a +1 to block. It's actually a +4. Blocking ability is determined by the weapon's bonus, the character's melee skill, and their strength. So blocking ability is pretty useful for an unskilled character like us. We have a lot to sort through here. We're going to use the zone tool. First, we press Y and A, then choose Loot Magazines. We'll do it again for ammo and guns, and then we'll add an unsorted zone. We'll include all tiles inside the shop in our unsorted zone. Now we press O and choose the third option. We'll automatically run around and pick up all the guns, magazines, and ammunition on the floor or on the shelves and put them in their respective piles. So all the guns are here, all the magazines are here. So there was actually a Smith & Wesson 619 here. It's a .357 Magnum revolver. That's notably different from our .357 SIG. The nice thing about it is that it can also hold .38 Special. .357 Magnum is a powerful round with a big kick. .38 Special is a bit weaker than 9mm, but it's quieter, more accurate, and has less recoil. So with one gun, you can load a weak round for everyday use and a powerful one for taking out dangerous enemies. We decide to also look over the bodies while we're here. Some of them seem to have some useful stuff. Immediately, we find a bag with one of my favorite guns in it, the Ruger Red Hawk. It's a revolver chambered in .44 Magnum, which hits like a truck. We also find a few odds and ends, including a gasoline lantern and a semi-automatic MP40. This is a German submachine gun from World War II. It could be useful, but this one doesn't have the full auto feature. That makes it kind of useless to us. We have pistols that are better. Instead, we'll just take all the ammo. This person also had an IFAK, or Individual First Aid Kit, pouch. This has a bunch of medical supplies we can grab. Unfortunately, these never include antiseptic. If we get a deep wound like a bite, we might be at risk for infection if we can't disinfect it. We really need to be careful. We'll wear the ballistic glasses. These can protect our eyes from all kinds of things, including the sun if we ever manage to get outside. Memory cards. We'll grab that. Grab this. Very useful stuff. Let's unload the Remington. There's a zombie out front, and there's something we can try now. Our torso encumbrance is up to 20 because of our bags. Let's take that off. We square up and face down the zombie cop, brandishing our pipe. We have no idea how to use it, but this zombie's wearing a face mask, which means it can't bite us. This might be a good chance to learn. If we get into trouble, we always have this gun handy.
Ouch.
It grabs onto us, clawing at our arm as we batter it repeatedly with the pipe. Its fists clumsily hammer at us, but we're faster and our weapon does the job. Eventually, we beat it to the ground. A second zombie approaches, and we try to take it on, but unlike the cop, it's not wearing a mask. It manages to bite us a couple of times, but again, we get lucky, and its teeth don't break the skin. We bash the corpses until we're sure they're dead. That went worse than we hoped it would. We find another gun and some ammunition. Let's grab our case before we take a look at that. Actually, there's a double rifle case here. This one's better, but it's not as long, but it has more volume. So we'll wear the new one, hit the capital U key to unload the old case, and that'll dump everything from the case into our inventory. Since we're wearing the new case, it'll automatically put all of our stuff in there. Okay, he had a Glock 40 magazine, but he didn't have... No, wait, okay, yeah. This is so funny to me. So there's a Glock 22. It shoots 40. It doesn't shoot 22, it shoots 40. It has a magazine that holds 40 and 357 SIG. Not 357 Magnum, 357 SIG. But if you put 357 SIG in the Glock 40 magazine, you can't put it in the Glock 22 because the Glock 22 only fires 40. I don't know if this ever really stops being confusing. Taking a look at our practice actions, we can see that we still don't have one for melee. The only way we can learn is by actually fighting. We square up as more zombies find their way into the store. It's imperative that we figure out how to defend ourselves in close range.
Ouch.
Unfortunately, before we can make much headway, a few more pile in. We'll have to run for now. We drop the pipe and wield the case. That took a lot longer than I thought it would. One zombie grabs us and 3 more move in, mouths open wide. Reeling from the pain of the beating we're taking, we cry out and pull ourselves free, then run into the back. Safe again. That was a close call. We won't be taking a stupid risk like that again. We stop our bleeding and catch our breath. We start laying our guns out and reloading everything, preparing to repeat our earlier strategy. Okay, that should be good. We set our rifle case down and grab the CZ, then open the door. They're on us the instant it swings open. 1 down. 2 down. 3 down. That takes our marksmanship skill to 2. We're starting to understand how to control our weapon better. Or at least we don't look goofy or flinch when we try to fire it. And there's another. Three shots drops her. Finally, it looks like it's clear. There are still zombies outside, but we can go out to the front of the store and smash everything. With that done, we retreat into the back, dragging our pipe along with us. We clear the bodies blocking the doorway and close it back up. We check every corner of the room, then sit down in a chair that is miraculously untouched by the carnage. This has been the worst hour and a half of our life. We need a smoke. And that, I think, will do it for our first episode here. We've escaped a preposterous situation, taken out 62 zombies, and acquired a massive haul of guns. We've probably burned through about half of our ammo, but we still seem no closer to escaping the mall than we were when we woke up. We still don't even know how we got here. Did we walk all this way? Why don't we remember? Are we the only one left?